Hi. Well, see, I want to share something with you that got me quite excited right now. Because I'm making a tent based on leftangles, on the 8-eyes basically. And essentially I began with a roll of fabric just as they come. Right? I hope you can see that. Maybe I should take a different pen. Ah, that's better. Alright, here we go. So I began with a roll of fabric, canvas, kind of like a canvas for a tent. And from there I've got this long piece of rectangular cloth, right? So the first thing I did was I took a left angle and cut the end of the cloth like that, right? So here's a leftover, and I quickly realized that actually one could think of it in two parts too. So I get a little eye, a little left angle, and this bit here is basically like this corner of the hex, right? It's two halves of an eye that are put together that way. Alright, that was what I realized as I cut that off. Well, and then I went, this is essentially the triagonal of the cloth, right? It's not the diagonal, it's the triagonal, it's the length, the edge length, the length of the fingers for all the left angles. So with that I could fold the fabric, which I won't do with paper right now. I'll just see how do we do it this way. So I folded it over and I kept going. So I got the same length around every side here, which again is the triangle of the fabric. And I think the width of the fabric that I use was 175 meters, or centimeters, that is, 1.75 meters. Don't ask me what that is in feet, something around 5, I guess. A little shorter than I am. I'm 178.5. Yeah, and with that, the triagonal length, this length, became something I haven't really measured it, right? Why would I? I don't have to. I don't need centimeters for what I do, or inches or something like that. I just need the innate length of the material. But this comes to something just a tiny little bit less than 2 meters. Something like 1.96 or 97, roughly. Right? Somewhere around that. Alright, and that's a good measure. And from there I took it on, I went on and folded and folded and folded. I've actually done that out here on the ground because I have no room with a floor big enough to do this. And I knew if I want to make an 8-eyes, like, wait, I'll just get one. If I can reach it. I can't. Is there another one? Here. Okay, let's take this one. So this is an 8-eyes. And you see it's got one eye on the top and one on the bottom. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 around. So all in all it's 8. And I wanted to have this roll of fabric go around, so it would need to close at least 6 eyes. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6. Cool. That would be all around, and that's it. And I think that would be cool. Now that I have what I have, I think it would be fine. However, you would want to add a little length, but we'll come to that. I did two more eyes. I made 7, right? Oops, 7 and 8. Why? Well, because I thought by modeling it I would have something to close the door with, and perhaps something which turned out to actually work as a tent in the front of my 8 eyes. So I basically ended up with this plus this. So there's one more eye on this side, and this one is the flap for the door that I can have closed here, or overlap on the inside of this, which is really cool. And that's 8, right? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did I do 8 or did I do 7? Ooh. You know what? I did 7 because I ended up on the same side as I started with, I think, or did I not? Oh, that's curious. Let me think. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sides. 7 sides, I'm sorry. Skip this one. It's only 7. 7 eyes. Alright, so with that, that's what I did. And then I added just a little, like a width of my hand, like this, here as an overlap that would close over the other flap. I cut that off, and I sewed by hand both this edge and this edge, the cutting side, cut edges, right? So those are seams now, have seams. And then I made grommets that I would put as eyelets, one here, 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 and there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 grommets, 9 eyelets. And those are used to put through pieces of line with a modified Ashley stopper knot on the end. It gives me a little loop on the inside, which is practical for many reasons. And then I have the lines going through the grommets, through the eyelets, and going to the tree ship that I have strung this in. It could also be done in many other ways and places. But it's something that is like the tension comes from having those lines in the corners drawn out. Alright, and here's where I'm at now, because I've now got my tent, right, like my 8 eyes tent sides. Like I've had this additional bit here. If only I had the little bits here to kind of show you what it looks like, but I don't really. Anyways, we can go back to that if you ever need to. Just think of this little bit in the front like a nose or a beak. And with that, I have these walls or sides like so. I don't have a proper roof yet, I do have some other cloth, triangular cloth, that I've used for now, but today I really want to go about making a proper roof. And my first thought was, basically I had this cut off here, right? So if we look at it this way, I guess something like that. Here's still a bit left on the roll, like so. So my first thought was I'd add again like a lap, like an overlap here, like a flap here, and then I'd put this line here and have a second overlap on that side. So it would overlap on two sides, and my thought was I would get another strip of cloth and sew it on this side, so as to have something that also overlaps on, well, that side of the eye. However, what I figured out yesterday, which is so brilliant now that I come to think of it, is, see, I got this left over here, these two. And when I take that one, let's see what happens if we go back to this. Right, this is the situation with the cloth. I have the left angle here, and I want that flap. And then let's add our little leftover that we have here, and sew that on here, right? So that it's an extension of this. Oh, actually, of course, sew it here. I haven't done it yet, so sorry. Like that. Okay. I'm gonna add this bit here. Yeah, I'm gonna think about that as I do it. However, in theory, I'm gonna add it here, sew it on here, on that short line, and then this whole thing is gonna be much bigger, and I can take the flap on all three sides of it. And I'm gonna do something with it which is similar to these, this kind of box, here, which I figured out a while ago using cardboard, and you know, it works with fabric as well. The idea being, if I have a big triangle and I want to have it become a bowl or a cover like the roof or something like that, I can decide on a length that I want that flap to be, like the triangle of the flap. Let's say something like this. Alright, that's the radius of it. And if we take that off on all three corners using a compass, we can get these folds here. Alright, plus these folds like so. And then we cut in, for instance, we can cut these off. These go off. We don't need to have them, I think. Maybe there is a good use for them, but I haven't figured it out yet. Let's put it that way. And then we cut this line, but only until this point. And we do the same line all around. So it's the symmetric, rotational symmetry there, this line. And then we can fold it over and have something that actually encloses the corner of the the corner of the eye of the tent, like so. So this is exactly the same cut. This is the special kind of case where sorry for the noise. This is the special case where the triangle of the rim that I've taken here is half of the remaining eye in the middle, which makes this half an 8-eyes. Right. But you see how there is an over